You feeling good? You look great. Yeah. It's going to be fun, our event. Can't wait. Yeah. So how's everybody doing?
Okay, John.
Good morning.
Good morning. Obviously, a tough time with Trey Walker. Have you had a chance to visit with the family, go down to South Florida yet to talk to some folks?
We're going to go down Saturday for the funeral. I've texted, but communication right now, obviously, is it's just a tough situation. We've had Darren Sanders, who's real close with Trey's mom, has been down there pretty much throughout the process, and some of our other people. Harry Swain has been down there quite a bit, and Johnny Shelton, our team chaplain, has been down there quite a bit. So it's just a tough situation.
It's in the off season because you're not with your team. It's tough, obviously, to communicate. You had some talk with some of the guys. I'm sure you offer counseling and things like that to try to help everyone get over the hump.
Right. You know, we just talk to guys, or just back and forth on the phone or texting guys that reach out. It's just more kind of normal, natural conversation that you might. Someone's feeling the need to have a conversation. It's nothing too formal except for the letter that we sent. And this is new territory. I mean, this is a challenging type of situation. It's just it's really tragic, sad. But I tell you what, this morning I got hit with this. I'll share this with you. I got hit with this. I got hit with Isaiah 25:8. He will swallow up death in victory, and the Lord God will wipe away tears from off all faces. And the rebuke of his people shall he take away from off all the earth, for the Lord has spoken it. That's timing. It's amazing the timing, of daily Bible study, and that's.
Can you share a fun story or some nice stories about Trey?
Oh, Trey. Just the thing about Trey is, we talked a little bit about the national anthem before. He'd find it, for some reason, it's amazing there's pictures of it, because it just had this sense during the season. I never really kind of thought about it, but I look around and there he'd be. He'd be right next to me. That big smile on his face, tall guy, 6'3", just a great face, warm-hearted, good-hearted guy. And he'd give you that big old smile, like, right next to you, coach, and guys would give him a hard time about maybe wanting to be on TV. So, but just a genuine personality who was, just from a football standpoint, he was really young. He played safety in high school, was transitioned to corner at Texas Southern, and really was making progress fast. He really wanted to be good. I think the light had come on in a sense where he kind of understood now what it meant to, just play the position at this league, and he was a hard worker. You couldn't get on him hard enough in a sense where it would bother him. He was just had a sponge for instruction. He wanted to get better. You could coach him tough, you could coach him nice. Anyway, just his whole thing, just coach me. Just help me, and just never forget him. He's in a better place.
John, the letter you wrote that you shared on the website, can you just talk about what sort of moved you at that moment to put those feelings in words and share them with people?
Probably two things. I guess the first thing, just thinking about Trey's mom, and it's one of those feelings that nobody ever wants to have. It's not a call you ever want to get. It's nothing that you even want to imagine, a situation you ever want to imagine yourself in. I'm sure we all feel that way with our kids. I mean, you don't even want to think about what that would be like. And yet here she is, and she has to live that reality. And then the other part of it is just what do you say to your guys, and what can we do to help our guys, understand the fragility of life and the great opportunity that they have, and to understand, the position they're in does come with, it's a little different. You grow up a little faster when you're an NFL player than the normal 22-year-old guy does. And that's what we try to impress on our guys all the time. You're not in the same place as your buddies are. You're in a different place. You have not just you have more at stake. Everybody's life is worth the same in this big sense. But you have an unprecedented opportunity, and you want guys to grow up a little faster than they're normally called to do. And with much opportunity comes responsibility. So what would I say to my son if I had one, or my daughter, who I do have, or our players, what can we do not to have this happen? Why did this happen?
John, what have some of your conversations with players been like as you're trying to counsel them through this?
Players are, they probably are counseling me through it as much as I'm counseling them through it. Asa Jackson called me yesterday just to see how I was doing, and he plays for the Cardinals now. Guys have texted, I've gotten more how are you doing than I've gotten guys who need counseling, it seems like. I mean, I think we have amazing guys that really care about one another, and everybody just loved Trey. I mean, it's all about him. I mean, everybody just really loved him, and everybody was stunned that happened. Even when Kevin gave me the call, and Kevin and I talked about it, and Kevin knew how really dire the situation was. I couldn't accept that. I was like, no way. He's going to be fine. And then he got into the next day, and he was in surgery, and you just felt like no news was good news. And then he was gone. And it just was like just a punch in the gut. But for us, for the family, that's the one that it's hard.
John, obviously, you talked about uncharted waters here for you. Who are some of the folks that you leaned upon, both personally and professionally, to try to help guide everyone, because you're the leader of men of this team?
Right. Well, I would say Kevin Byrne has been, we've kind of been talking constantly throughout the whole process, and he's probably the first person that we've just had a lot of conversations about this. Of course, Ozzie and Steve and the people in our building that know Trey. Johnny Shelton, our team chaplain, very much so. A good friend of mine, Mark Householder, who's president of Athletes in Action, has reached out, and he's helped me quite a bit. I think that the grief management part of it is something as an organization that we're going to have to look at, when our guys come back, to try to understand what we need to do. That's not something that I have any expertise in or understanding of, really. So we'll just have to kind of look at that going forward.
Has the process been more difficult because of sort of dealing with it as a team because the players are not together right now?
It has been. It's just so fragmented right now. It's just really it's real challenging, the off season. It's a big challenge, and I hope that the league and the union can take this event, this tragic event, and kind of find common ground for the younger players in this league. I mean, 3 months is a long time to be kind of away, and I think for some of the guys especially, and it's the guys that need it the most, the guys that don't come from a great situation at home, what's their anchor? Where do they go to anchor themselves? Well, they have nowhere to go right now for 3 months, so they go home. They go back to where they have worked so hard to pull themselves out of. Trey's number one goal was to find his mom a good apartment. He had told us that. He told me that in our pre-draft meeting. He told me that after he got drafted, and he told me when he did it, when he got it done for it. And so it's not an environment that he was really necessarily wanting to be in. But where else do you go after? That's where your friends are at. That's where your relationships are. It would really be good to be able to have the 2 and 3 year guys that choose to do it, to stay in their city where their team is at, because we're their new anchor in a lot of ways. We're their family. We've got the player development. We've got relationships with the coaches. They have a place to stay most of the time. They have a place they can go to work every single day. They can train without having to pay for it. It just makes a lot of sense that we need to do everything we can to help bridge that transition for a lot of guys who are coming from the backgrounds that they come from.
On Saturday, as the team made arrangements for the whole team to go down there.
Right. Yeah. Steve Bisciotti's working on that right now, and I don't know the arrangements right now, but knowing Steve, he'll do it to the max. I think he's talking about chartering a whole plane for everybody that wants to go down. Right, Kevin?
Talking about it. See how many get the Baltimore lane.
Right. So I think Steve will make it possible for everybody that's in Baltimore or wants to get to Baltimore to fly down together, and Steve will pay for that. It's just that's how he does it.
John, it's obviously a pretty rare situation. Have you reached out to any other coaches who have experienced active players?
You know, Jeff Fisher called me right away. He had the thing with Stedman Bailey just a year or two before, and he reached out immediately. I really don't know that many other coaches that have been through this before. I'm not really aware of it. If there is a guy, I'd like to know it. I could talk to him, or someone that's, even if they're not coaching right now. I don't know who that is right now.
I think Mike Nolan, 49ers. Remember that young man passed away after the preseason game.
Okay.
Gibbs was coaching the Redskins with
Oh, right. Gibbs was with Joe Gibbs.
Yeah, Gibbs was.
Okay, that's a great idea. Thanks. Yeah, great idea.
You talked about trying to bridge that time for young guys. What would you, if you were able to, what would you do specifically for those guys if you could keep them around?
Right. Right. I mean, I don't have all the answers with the details, but I don't think it's too hard to understand. You know, the rules are in place. You would stick to the rules. You know that say that it's voluntary in the off season. We have, just like every team. I talked to Adam Gase. They have, in South Florida, right down here. They have lots and lots of players because a lot of guys stay down here in the off season. A lot of guys come into the building and they work out. You know, and they have an opportunity to do that. I think if we encouraged our guys to do that, we kind of set it up where there's a little more for them. That we could engage them a little more with player development, a little more with off-season programs. You know, just train them in the weight room. You know, work on the physical conditioning so they don't have to pay for it from an outside source. Just give us an opportunity to encourage them to stay a little more. Just the young guys, just the second and third year guys that are still making the transition in life. You know, it seems to me like a real simple step that we could all take together.
How many players do you estimate live near your facility during the off season? Just estimate.
What do you think?
10, 15.
Yeah, probably 10 or 15. Mostly the family guys. You know, we have some of the younger guys that do come back quite a bit. You know, I saw Darius Smith was in there last week, and
Coach, all these guys want to lengthen their careers, obviously. What part of that would be, what would have to happen to make that happen from a negotiating standpoint?
I just think that the union and the NFL, and this is, I'm not involved in any of these negotiations, Nestor, so I don't know the ins and outs of it all, but I think if they just get together and just kind of make a pact to do what's best for the players, for the young players, it would be really easy and kind of set aside some of the negotiating tactics. You know, the this for that type of a negotiating. Hey, if we give you this, you've got to give us that. You know, kind of in the spirit of what's best for the young guys. Just figure it out. You know, I think if I go back to Jeff Saturday, who helped put these rules together. He's very reasonable. I'm sure Eric Winston would be, very reasonable and understand what's best for these young guys. They've been in locker rooms with these guys all these years. I just think cooperation. You know.
What you maybe get done this season, adding Weddle, to split additions you made, how important is those positions that you've attacked, and where do you think you guys are from a perspective of team building and filling holes?
Right. Well, I think we've got a lot of work to do still going forward. I'll see you. We're not finished. Obviously, we've got the draft in front of us, and in terms of free agency or cap casualties and those kind of things, we'll still be working on those kind of things. Ozzie and Eric and the rest of those guys are working on those things hard, and I think our football team needs to continue to improve from now, till the first game and right on through in a lot of different ways. We've got to do it scheme-wise. We've got to do it in the way we organize our practices and the way we game plan and in our personnel. So it's coaching, it's players, it's everything.
One of the things you guys are going to do this week is the rules proposals. Can you just kind of explain the pinning rule, like as you see that, and why you guys made that proposal?
Right. Well, what was the word that was used to describe the issue with it? Logistical. I think if you compare the logistical issues that Nike would have of building a stretch penny that could be easily pulled on and pulled off, compared to what we have right now logistically, what they have to deal with, the hoops that the referee has to jump through to establish who's eligible and who's not eligible, there's really no comparison. And we're just trying to the whole idea is to simplify this for the fans and for the officials. The rule is multi-layered and complex. It's very difficult for fans to understand. It's very difficult for officials to officiate on the field. They've gotten it wrong almost every time over the course of the last few years. For every team, they've gotten it wrong for New England last year. Right after our game, New England had a touchdown scored on him that was illegal that the official missed. So it doesn't need to be that way. They organized the numbers for a reason, to say that these numbers are eligible and these numbers are ineligible way back when. That's why you don't see Sid Luckman type quarterback numbers anymore, okay? There are numbers that determine certain eligibility. Colleges never got away from that. For some reason, we got away from that, and we keep adding layers onto this thing as far as where guys can line up and how they can line up, how they identify an eligible number as an ineligible player. Oh, it's a different signal now because they didn't have the ability to do that in our game against New England. So it's just it's a very simple way to solve a problem that we've already had in the NFL and colleges have always done, just to make it easier for the fans and for the officials, or easier for everybody to understand.
Here's where I apologize. I guess we may have gotten to this point already where I'm already apologizing for questions that may have been asked. But Ben Watson, what you guys see in him? Obviously, he was a good piece in New Orleans, and I know they wanted to get him back, and you guys kind of pushed your way to get him.
Right, yeah, that hasn't been asked yet, so you're good.
Okay.
Well, I think we saw a very good football player. You know, it's watching him play this year, not surprising, knowing Ben a little bit. We played against him when he was at New England and Cleveland. We had to defend him all those years. We've always known what kind of a player Ben Watson is. To see him playing at as high a level as he's ever played this year with Sean and with the Saints is very impressive. And we just felt like he still had a few years left in him that he could play at that level. And on top of that, the leadership ability he brings, we have a young locker room. You know, he's just a stand-up guy in every way. He's a strong Christian. He stands for something. He cares about his teammates. He's a family man. And we also feel like he's going to make plays on third down for us and in the red zone. That's pretty important. So he's just kind of the total package. And we made a decision. He was the tight end that we were going to go after right away.
Do you guys view him as like a number one tight end?
Sure. I mean, I've always, these local guys, our guys know that number one, number two, number three. I've never gotten into all that because I think you use your players, to their strengths. So, but if you want to call him number one, absolutely.
Can you provide some clarity on Crockett Gilmore's situation?
Yeah.
Is it just his shoulders, and does he need both repaired? And
Right.
does that affect the timetable? Because
Right.
you can't do them both at the same time, obviously.
It's a great question, Jeff. When we came out of the off season, we were told that he was going to have both shoulders repaired. I'm going to say labral tears, perhaps, and so there was the timetable was built, and that was going to take him into training camp because you can't do them both at the same time. The doctors didn't feel like. Of course, I was pushing, do them both at the same time. You can hire a nurse, he can walk around like this. That was my idea. I stand by that idea. I got some funny looks from the doctors, but it turned out that as time went on, the other shoulder didn't need to be done. So he's had one shoulder done, and then they say now the other one does not need to be done, and so he's going to be fine, probably for OTAs, maybe certainly for training camp.
So recently you got that news that
Yeah.
he didn't have the.
That was within the last 2 weeks, so that was great news for us.
John, how disappointing was Will Harris' situation for suspension?
Right. Yeah. Just it was very disappointing. It was too bad because we had really made a commitment to Will and to his future and to the fact that he would be able to do things in a way that he could be successful, and he was doing that for quite a while, playing good football for us. It was not a football decision, other than the fact that it was just going to cost us too much to wait for him at this point in time with the suspension. We still like Will. We still, I still think Will's got a heck of a future in front of him. He's just got to organize some things in his life, priority-wise. He's got a family. He's got a lot to, he's got a lot to play for, and he's got a lot of ability. And certainly wish him nothing but the best.
Is there any update with Rashad? Is like the expectation for him to be back on the field for OTAs, or where is that?
Right. The expectation for Rashad is to be back for OTAs. He's I don't know what percentage it is right now, but I know that everybody seems to be happy with his progress, and he looks strong. I've seen him in there a few times in rehab, and he looks like everybody tells me that he's in right where he should be.
John, I covered the Chiefs for the Kansas City Star. We saw lots of Mitchell Schwartz. That was a big free agent acquisition. I just wondering, all the years you saw him, what was your impression of him as a footballer?
Well, as an opponent going against Mitchell, I mean, he's big, strong, good rangy right tackle, very physical, very smart player, and I would see that he'd be Andy Reid's kind of guy. You know, he seems like he's smart and tough and great competitor.
You've got a good relationship with Andy Reid. You know him pretty well. I know as a coach it's important to farm your own land. I was curious, when you heard or saw the tampering penalties that were levied against him, did that catch your attention? Did it surprise you knowing Andy's doing?
I don't even know about it. I didn't even look at it. I don't know anything about it, in all honesty. Thanks.
It's Joe's time. What do you guys expect from him as he's coming back?
Training camp, I think, right now, you know, and just have to see how he feels. Progress has been really right on schedule.
Inside linebacker. Now, obviously, there's a little bit of a hole there with Daryl on. Is that or competition between Arthur and Zach? Is that how we should view it? That's those two guys have battled it out for the spot next to CJ.
Right. We have some good guys, you know, and obviously Zach and Arthur and Albert McClellan are guys in the mix there, and we could move a safety down in there. You know, a lot of teams are doing that now, and one of those guys might move in there. So we have the draft still in front of us. So there's going to be competition. That's how we like it. Hey, congratulations to Daryl signing in Tampa too. You know, he's. I'm sure that he'll do very well there. He's a great guy, great leader. Very appreciative of everything he's done for us.
Kind of the same token, left tackle position's one that's getting a lot of attention. You said all along we have Monroe, but we have other options. Who do you see, and is Rick Wagner included as an option?
Right, I think all 5 linemen are definitely a part of that. You've got DeAndre Wesley, Rick Wagner, James Hurst. You know, when you look at the roster that you have, that's what you look at. You look at the guys you've got and how you position your line. You get your 5 best players out there, you know, where they can play their best. I don't have any doubt that all those tackles can play both sides. In some ways, the NFL has changed a little bit, where it's not just left tackle oriented like it used to be maybe 10, 15 years ago. It used to be a little more left tackle oriented because of the way the protections are organized now. You can move that around a little bit. The blind side still is important. The quarterback does not see that. You know, doesn't see that tackle get beat when he's one-on-one, so it still has value. But there are ways to protect both tackles. But it's going to be a competition with those guys and whoever else we add.
Speaking of Monroe, did you have any reaction to his comments about the NFL just looking to maybe taking marijuana off the banned substance list for medicinal reasons?
The only reaction I have is that those are his comments. You know, they don't. What's the disclaimer? He does not speak for the network.
For the organization.
Yeah. I promise you, he does not speak for the organization.
When you have to pay a quarterback, as much as you do, what kind of complications is that? Putting a team on that,
Right. Well, yeah, paying for a quarterback is a good problem to have. It's the problem that everybody wants to have. I think there's a window in there, you know, maybe some of the teams, when the quarterback is young and he's playing at the highest level, you know, you got a few years in there where you benefit from that. But at some point in time, you've got to pay a good quarterback, a top quarterback. And we're happy to do that. And Joe was really great about it in terms of organizing a long-term, flattish deal that allows us to plan, you know, our cap, you know, how we build our team the next few years. So, but if you do the math, you can see, you know, cap compared to what the quarterback's average is. That's basically the implication of it. Yes, very happy with the fact that the contract is stable and we can work with it. Right.
When you, as an organization, go into this time of the year and compare and contrast young players that you're looking at the draft, and then a guy like Weddle or a guy like Watson, these known commodities come along.
Right.
Just you haven't played in that area much because we haven't had money in the offseason to be able to do that, but they get character guys.
Right.
Everything you hear about Weddle, from media through the teammates all the way through, speaks volume. It's amazing guys like that are available because that's the guy you're looking for.
Right.
Anyway, right?
It's amazing. It's just amazing what everybody looks for. Everybody looks for something different. You know, you see guys that one team values more than another guy, and everybody's got different needs. I mean, there are certain players out there that we have tons of respect for that we would love to have, and either the price tag is too high to fit our cap structure, or we just have players in that area that we really, or you might have needs that just the player doesn't fit, you know, or the price doesn't fit. So it's all got to come together. Then you've got to go recruit the guy, and get him to come to your place and make him feel like he fits and belongs. But I thought Eric DeCosta just did a great job. Ozzie obviously leads everything, and Ozzie had a tremendous plan and structure in place for how we were going to approach free agency with the money, and we're not done yet, as I said, and the players that were available. And we had done so much homework on so many players, both contract-wise and who we liked. And then once it kind of fell, you could kind of start to see how it was going to shake out and who we were going to have a shot at. Eric DeCosta really went to work on Eric Weddle, and did a great job recruiting him, and just kind of really. And recruiting is just showing him who you are. And I thought Eric did a great job presenting us and showing him who we are, to get Eric to take a good hard look at us. So yeah, you're right. They're just the kind of guys we want. Ben Watson, Eric Weddle, Mike Wallace. You get to know Mike Wallace. I think you're going to like Mike Wallace, and what he's going to bring to us. He's a good fit for us. What about you guys going to ask about the replay?
So about the replay.
Talk about replay.
Good question. Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on replay?
Here's the thing about replay. Okay, go ahead.
Well, two things. Can you talk about why you guys propose that? And then second, would you want ideally everything, like penalties?
Right. That's a great question about replay, and it's not an easy issue. Obviously, it's never going to be an easy issue. It's one that I think that the competition committee has struggled with, frankly, and rightly so, because you got to find the right balance on how to do it, and our proposal solves a lot of problems. Okay, it cleans a lot of things up. Right now, there are 33 definitions or notes in the rule book about what is reviewable. Okay, at some point in time, that balance is going to outweigh anybody's ability to understand it. Fans don't understand it. Color commentators don't understand it. The ex-referees that do the expert analysis struggle with it. Really doesn't need to be the case. We're trying to get new fans all across the globe. Okay, our rules need to be understandable, and the technology has outpaced the rule book right now. So our rule is just a simplification. It makes it easier for the fans, makes it easier for the officials, for the coaches. Instead of 33 definitions and notes, there's 8. We're saying what's not reviewable, and what's not reviewable is the judgment calls. A judgment call defined as anything that cannot be clearly defined in replay. Okay, it's already that way. All of those calls, they're talking about judgment calls. Those judgment calls right now, they're judgment calls on the field. Catch, no catch is a judgment call. That still hasn't been defined in replay. That could be defined with a third step rule very easily, okay? It could be done. So we're just basically saying anything that can be made right in replay should be made right. And then what Coach Belichick, I thought their proposal last year was really good, and what the roadblock it came up against was the fact that holding and pass interference are clearly judgment calls that would be hard to look at in replay. So we just took all those out. We're even unsportsmanlike conduct. The only gray area one is face masking. Well, if it's an unsportsmanlike conduct, we'll keep it out. That's no problem, just keep it out. But anything like, especially safety related, hits to the head, okay, that should be in replay. The official should be free to throw that flag to protect the player, knowing that if he misses it and gets it wrong in real time, the coach will red flag it and he'll pull it off. That, to me, that'll make the players safer as well. So technology is there the fans live in replay. The fans live on their devices. This is where they watch the game. Okay, this is the beauty of where we're at in 2016. This is not 1999 when replay first came in. We need to acknowledge that our fans live in replay. So hey, man, let's make it simple for the fans. Make it simple for people to understand what's reviewable. Everything's reviewable except the judgment calls. It's 8 lines. It's real simple, and we've got high hopes for it.
You got my vote. You're gonna get 5 minutes in front of the owners. You got my vote.
Probably not.
What about the receiver? You might have covered this. What about the receiver eligible numbers?
We did cover that. Again, it's a real simple rule. It has nothing to do with what play happened, when, to who, or whatever. I mean, everybody wants to bring up New England and say that we're reacting to that. We're not reacting to that. Simplicity for the fans and for the officials. The officials have struggled with this multi-layered, complex, who's eligible rule for decades. The numbers were put in place for a reason. Okay, Sid Luckman, the quarterbacks don't wear 76 anymore, okay? There's a reason for that, so that the defense can identify who's eligible and who's not eligible. It's real simple. The colleges never got away from that. Nike can put a penny on that you can put on and off in no time at all. It'd be a lot simpler than an official having to stop the play, announce who's eligible or who's not eligible, give a signal, now this player is becoming eligible, now this player is becoming ineligible, that nobody understands that's going to run all the time off the play clock. We want to be able to put players in positions to do other things, like Arizona did a great job with A.Q. Shipley, put him in the backfield. Why does he have to report every time? Just put a 30 number on him and bam, he's in there. Everybody knows who he is. You can't miss A.Q. Shipley, okay? We know who he is. So just put him in there and let the defense know, hey, this guy's eligible, this guy's not eligible. That's what the numbers are for. It's a very simple solution. The officials will not make as many mistakes. The referee has so much on his plate right now. He has got so many things that he's got to process from play to play. This is way too complex for him to have to process, and it's really not fair to the fans either.
John, we know you got the touchback rule is up, but overall, when you hear people talk about taking away the kickoff, how much do coaches oppose that for the possibility of losing an onside kick? You know, a strategic decision at the end of the game. Do you hate to lose the kickoff?
Yeah, I just I'm a special teams coach. You know, I like kickoffs and kickoff returns. I mean, I know Ozzy's going to vote for it, and we'll just have to figure out a way to make it work for us. I mean, you know, we're going to look at it in a way that we may kick it off down to the goal line as high as we can, and go down there and try to get the kickoff, get the return team at the 12, 15-yard line. It's going to be real hard for us to want to just say, hey, we're going to surrender the 25-yard line as a kickoff cover team every time. That's really not in the spirit of competition what we're trying to accomplish here. So that's just it's going to go the way it's going to go, and I'm kind of sitting that one out.
Why did you decide to be so aggressive this offseason and these rule changes and have this big loop around? All because the Ravens are screaming for some change, and I guess in the league it's good that there is a process. You could get this changed if enough people agree.
Right. Well, there's a lot of processes that go on, a lot of political processes that go on everywhere, and to me, it's straightforward. It's simple. Just we have a very complex game. All right. The rule book, and I think the league has done a good job of trying to go back through the rule book and make it simpler for the fans to understand, simpler for everybody to operate. It shouldn't be hard to fly this plane on game day. Everybody should be able to understand the game. So anywhere that you can make it simpler, that doesn't take away from the game or safety, as a matter of fact, enhances safety, it should be done. And these are two simple rule changes that are going to make the game better. These rule changes are going to be made eventually. If they don't pass this year, down the road, mark my words, they will pass, because there's no reason not to do these two specific rule changes, and there are others too. They're going to pass eventually, even if you know, the league decides not to go in that direction at this time.
Do you find that people are as passionate about it as you are in the other coaches?
I don't gauge it. I'm not a politician. I don't ask. You know, I know there are. Bruce Arians put the penny thing in last year, and every coach that was in that meeting last year before they added the layers to the rule last year that the fans still don't understand. He put this in last year, and we all said, yeah, just do it that way. You know, everybody in the room didn't seem to be opposed to it. So I think the coaches are for it. I think the coaches mostly just kind of sit back and say, hey, tell me what the rules are going to be, and we'll deal with the rules. You know, that's kind of what the coaches say. But I'm quite sure that if this rule passed, the coaches would go, that makes sense.
What's your view on the chop block proposal?
Okay, the chop block proposal, it's a great question. I think based on a few of the clips that they put in there by one team that is posting and cutting people's knee, that could be cleaned up real simply by getting that team to stop doing that technique. Teams have been running the stretch zone play for years. Look at Denver, look at Houston. It's a great finesse run play. The stretch zone play is a play that spreads out the defense, and by spreading the defense horizontally creates seams to run the ball in. The other two types of runs basically in the game are power runs and lead runs. A power run is a down scheme and a kick-out scheme. The ball is designed to go in one or two gaps, okay? So that draws everybody's attention right to that gap. So if I'm a fullback or a guard, I'm going to kick out Terrell Suggs, this outside back, or Terrell Suggs knows that, he's going to come crashing down there and smash that guard or fullback as hard as he can. That's a collision. A lead play is a play where a fullback or a tight end or an A.Q. Shipley lines up in the backfield, and his job is to go hit that linebacker head on head. That's an ISO, okay? We know about that play, right? Those are head-banging plays, all right? The stretch zone play stretches. It's a finesse play. It widens the defense out one way or the other and creates seams through finesse. When you take away the ability to cut block on the backside of that play, you take away a big part of that play's effectiveness, and you're going to force teams back into those head-banging run plays. To me, that's not smart, okay? And it doesn't cause injuries. It's not a dangerous play the way it's executed effectively and when it's done the right way. what a defensive lineman can do right now, there's no umpire behind. A defensive lineman can grab a center or a guard and not let him get up on the backer. So the backer can run and go make the play to that running back. All right? The cut block in the backside makes him take his hands off the center or the guard and play the cut block. Defensive linemen know how to play that block. Defensive linemen don't want it because they don't want to have to worry about the cut block. They want to hold on to that center and pull themselves through so two guys are free runners to go hit the back. All right? That cut block on the backside protects the running back from getting smashed in the side of the head from backside pursuit. And it does not put the defensive lineman in any kind of danger unless it's done as a post and a cut, which if you told that one team, that's out, you're going to get called for that, don't do it anymore, we wouldn't have this conversation right now.
John, hi. Hey, with all of the safety measures being put into football, you sort of have been known since you've come in as the head coach to be an extremely physical team, but a very clean team. So how hard is it now for you to continue to teach aggressive play to the whistle, hit guys, jar the ball out, everything, when you know that there are so many things in place that are either going to get fined 2 days later or going to get flagged and cannot be replay reviewed?
It's a great question, Peter, and it's not a problem at all. I mean, good, clean, tough football has been around since the beginning of football, and the rules have been amended and changed as the players have gotten bigger and better, and to build safety in. I know the league is doing a great job of that. Our division is a rough, tough division. Every team in our division plays physical football, but the league is like that. These athletes are phenomenal athletes, and the ability to protect them is tantamount, and I think the league is doing a great job of that. Safety should be in replay. I mean, the fact that safety is not in replay right now just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Put safety in replay, which is what our proposal does. So that way, if we're talking about a full-speed shot and the official's got to decide right in the moment, did he get hit in the head or not, and he doesn't want to make a mistake, doesn't want to flag that 15 yards because that's going to alter the game, he may not throw that flag. But if he knows he's protected by replay and he thinks that there was a helmet neck area contact, he'll throw the flag. And then if you see it on the replay, oh, he didn't get him in the head, we'll throw the red flag and we'll get it right. That's the whole point. To me, that protects the players even more. So, no, football is always going to be a great game. It's always going to be a courageous, physical game, and we'll continue to find ways to protect our players, which we have to do.
Is there any chance of that in passing?
In passing?
Ever?
Oh, it will pass eventually. There's no question that replay is going to pass eventually. Technology, it's not 1999 when we put replay in. I mean, everybody's watching the game through their smartphones now, okay? The fans live in replay. The fans are officiating the game in replay. The fans have a better view and a better look at the game than the official does. Why aren't we giving the officials and the coaches that same view? We have 33 lines of what's reviewable now. Our proposal makes 8 lines of what's not reviewable, and everybody can understand it. It falls under the category of judgment calls, all right? And where it's like, oh, is this a judgment call? Is this not a judgment call? Just say, hey, if it's either judgment or it's not, make a decision. That's what unsportsmanlike conduct in line 8 does. Puts face mask in the judgment call category. So everybody can understand this rule. It's real simple. Most importantly, be safer for the players. And secondly, it allows us to get it right. There were 5 games last year that were determined by non-reviewable calls that determined the outcome of the game. The fans don't understand that. They don't want to look at that all week and see that their team, the official made a mistake that everybody can see that the fans saw in real time, that the league said, it's not reviewable, we can't fix that. What do you mean we can't fix it? We can't fix it because we decide not to be able to fix it. We can fix it, just fix it. Make it reviewable, okay? We're gonna add, 1 or 2 more reviewable things this year, then another couple things next year. Now it's 33, it's gonna be 36, then 41, then 50 things that are reviewable. At some point in time, it's going to shift, and everything's going to be reviewable except certain categories. And that's what our proposal says. So it's either going to be done now or it's going to be done soon.
John, what is the objection?
Question regarding your proposal. If safety is reviewable, how much are you concerned or how do you respond to the explanation of if a guy will hold up, it'll have a chilling effect because he knows that if he does do something that is reviewable, that he could be called for a foul?
I don't understand the question. I mean, he can be called for a foul now if he does something that's illegal. If it's illegal, it should be called a penalty, whether it's called on the field or whether it's made correct in review. So if I hit somebody in the head, then it's a penalty. It's against the rules, right? If I hit somebody in the legal area, then it shouldn't be a penalty. I think the players want it right. The players don't want to go back and look after the game and see, I knew I didn't hit him in the head. And a player doesn't want to go back and see, I knew I got hit in the head, and it was missed. It shouldn't be missed. We've got the technology to clean it up, just like that.
John, what are the things you put on that list of should not be reviewable?
That's in the it's in the proposal. It's 8 lines of judgment calls. We worked with on holding,
Defensive holding, offensive holding.
defensive pass interference, offensive pass interference. All the calls that you'd look at and you'd have to go, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Anything that we felt like, anything that clearly, black and white, can be looked at in review and officiated in review and say that is clearly a penalty or not a penalty, and it was right or wrong. They already do that in review. They do that with catches. They do that with score, no score. It's whatever's black and white. Those are all judgment calls in real time. But when they go to replay, they become not judgment calls anymore.
John, aren't you worried about these games becoming like 4 hours?
Absolutely. No. Here's the thing about that. To me, that's a total red herring. How much time, when you're at the game, how long do you sit there and wait for the commercial, TV to come back from the commercial? We're sitting there, oh, we're ready to go now. I mean, that's the way it works at the game. So while we're going to, those reviews can be made, and you can go, go to a commercial. I mean, the games don't last 3 hours and 15 minutes in real time. They're less than that. So to me, that's not even an argument.
So you're saying review them during the commercial break?
Sure, why not? We don't have to all sit there and look and have the guy look in his booth or look at Dean Blandino in New York and look at him watching the play. Just come back and make the announcement, Then they'll show a replay of it. And here's the thing. The guys who are, the color commentators who are analyzing the game, they'll know why it was overturned or why it wasn't overturned. Because the rules will be clearly definable for the fans and for the color commentators, and everybody will understand what happened.
But also, if you don't increase the number of challenges, it's not going to make a longer game either, right?
Right, and I don't think personally, Peter, that 3 challenges is to me, it's like I've got to win 2 to get my 3rd. But if I only win 1, why if I don't win 1, don't I get my extra 1 back? To me, that was put in back when everybody was concerned about review and how long it was going to take, and guys were under this booth, and the technology wasn't there to go to New York. I mean, that's so much faster now than it used to be. But we amended it. We took it out because people are concerned about it, because Washington has one in there already that says it goes to 3 reviews. So personally, I think there's plenty of time to do 3 reviews. If it comes to that, it should be tied to timeouts. If I lose a review, I lose a timeout. Timeouts are very valuable. I don't want to lose a timeout, so I don't want to lose a review. That's going to keep me from just reviewing everything. But if it's 2 out of 3, I'm okay with that.
John, what are the Colts getting Ted Monachino?
Ted's a great coach. Players love him. Very great in terms of run defense and pass pressures, and just a heck of a guy. Great family man. We were very disappointed to lose him, and I think they got a great coach.
Do you think it's only a matter of time before he became the coordinator?
Oh, absolutely. He had opportunities to be a coordinator beforehand, and we had denied him some opportunities. So it got to the point where there's no way we could deny him anymore.
What did you like about the job that Mark Trestman did his first year with you?
I thought Mark, the thing about Mark Trestman is he's, first of all, he's really a good-hearted guy who really cares about football, cares about fellow coaches, cares about his players, and really is conscientious about wanting to do a great job, okay? Very smart. I've been around the game for a long time, been associated with the West Coast offense for years. I love that part of it, and I just love the way his mind works, and I'm really excited about what we're building this year with our offense.
Hey, John, your time in Philadelphia overlapped with Doug Peterson's. Just wondering, with your exposure to him, what you've seen that has helped him get to where he's at. I
was with Doug, and Doug was the guy. Okay, so Andy's first year, my first game with Coach Reed against Arizona in the opener as a special teams coach. I'd been there the year before with Coach Rhodes, and Coach Reed didn't really know what he had in the special teams coach, and he probably was a little worried. So we had a kicker, Norm Johnson. One of the great, Norm, I apologize for telling this story. Norm's one of the greatest guys ever, but we had a hurry-up field goal at the end of the game with the clock running down. So as I said to Andy, as God is my witness. Remember the scene from WKRP in Cincinnati, as God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly? As God is my witness, I told those guys that we'd run on the field for the field goal if the clock was running, Coach. So Norm wandered off somehow, and you couldn't find him. So we go, field goal, field goal. The whole field goal team runs out there. Doug was the holder. They line it up just perfect. Bam, we're locked in there. Everybody looks around. Where's the kicker? The kicker's not out there. So here he comes. Here comes Norm. Circles everybody, comes running out, running. Clock's running down. 3, 2, 1. And on the run, he kicks the field goal. Wide left. Just barely missed it. Doug Peterson to be poised under pressure, man. He had poise under pressure in that situation. Great guy. And, yeah, I think it's a great hire.
Coach, I'm working on a piece on Coach Pagano, somebody who actually reminds me a little bit of you sometimes in temperament, demeanor, and that sort of passion. What were your reflections on working with him? And is he as easy of a guy to root for as it seems?
Yeah, Chuck's a great guy. Just a lot of fun to be around. Family, teen. He's got all these daughters. We have a young daughter, so I go to him for daughter advice, on how to handle daughters and stuff like that. He seems to have no idea. So, no, great guy. I was really happy that the Colts saw the light and got him signed up like they should have, and done a great job.
I don't know if you can ask this, but how do you specifically was the penny?
I've been asked that twice. I've gone through it twice now. Yeah. Is that okay? I mean, I've gone through it twice now. It's great.
Carson Wentz, a lot of people are talking about the level of competition for him. What was your process in looking at Joe and factoring that in?
As compared to Carson Wentz?
Well, I mean, just the level of competition and, in Delaware versus...
Oh. Right. Yeah. I think that's it's overrated. I mean, big school quarterbacks have come out. When we factored that in, I think that's been turned up. I don't know what the exact analytics are. I think the numbers are more. It's more important to play a lot in college than it is to play at a certain place. So the number of reps that you get, the number of plays that you play, is more valuable in a young quarterback being successful his first year or two than you play at a certain specific big school. So we kind of ruled that out with Joe. He had played a lot at Delaware, and Carson has obviously played a lot. I don't think it's a factor.
John, would you ever, they made the offer of we'll give you an extra challenge, but you lose the 2-minute warning. Would that be an acceptable trade?
It would be an acceptable trade. I think, I'm always for putting it in the coach's hands. I don't always trust the fact that they're going to get it right upstairs, but I like it either way. I mean, I don't have a problem with 2 out of 3. I think it should be 3 out of 3 and the 2 minutes. There's plenty of time. We said this. To me, the time thing is a red herring. Anybody that's been to a game knows that there's a lot of dead time at a game. So filling up that dead time with a quick review is not going to push the game over 3 hours and 15 minutes.
John, how do you coach your guys to catch the ball in a way that there will be no confusion about whether it's a catch or the
We coach our guys to finish every catch. The confusion is not so much for the players. The players know that they just have to catch the ball. The confusion is in replay. The problem is that replay, they don't want to build rules that address the fact that the game is being watched in replay, officiated in replay already. Technology is great, and catch no catch is in replay. It's being officiated on the field, and it's being officiated in replay. So if you added a third step rule, in other words, if you define the time element as a third step, everybody would understand that. Players, coaches, most importantly, fans. And it would go to replay, and it would be black and white, catch, no catch, everybody would understand it. This nebulous, nefarious, mysterious time element that they built into this thing is driving everybody crazy.
Is that publicly or internal, like with coaches and players? I know fans are crazy, but like our coaches and players.
Fans, coaches, and players are it's just as crazy for them as for the fans. Yeah.
Vote for John Harbaugh.
so
It's going to be in the Republican debate next week. Have they brought this up in the debates yet? These rules questions yet? I want to know what.
How would you describe a catch?
A catch is 2 steps plus 1. It's the third step. So once the third step gets down, that's when we can make every determination about whether he's going to the ground or whether he's protected in every situation. You've got to make one note for the end zone. I catch the ball, I stand there, and I spike it. That's obviously a touchdown. There would be no third step there. Everywhere else, the third step answers the question in replay. We went back and we looked at every play this year. There would be very few changes. They're already doing it. Third step is already the way that intuitively Dean sees this time element and the officials see the time element. The third step basically works. You have to go all the way back to 2005 to find a play that is a little bit gray.
So if the player's in bounds, catches the ball, puts 2 feet down, takes 1 step, that's a catch.
Yeah, and he's not going to the ground. if he puts 2 feet in bounds and doesn't take a step as he falls out of bounds, now he's going to the ground and he's got to finish with the ball. So the cover's going to the ground. A guy takes a 3rd step, you know, he's not defenseless anymore. The 3rd step's not down, he's defenseless. Now you've got a way to define the time element.
So what's the 2005? There was a play.
The 2010, 5 years ago, where he was kind of going down and got the 3rd step down and looked a little bit gray. But he got the 3rd step down.
But there also seems to be an element now that the ball is it all moving, even if the guy, you would say that he has control, that's like a big deal. The ball isn't completely stationary.
Right.
Does replay get too fine on things like that?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Too fine
on establishing control in every tiny facet of the catch. Is it over scrutinized?
Well, the time element right now needs to be defined clearly, and that's what I think we're talking about. As far as control, the way that the replay answers that is basically not overturning what the official sees in real time. So if the official makes the rule in real time, unless there's clear evidence that the ball moved and he couldn't see it, or the ball didn't move and he thought it did, they'll just leave it the same. To me, that's smart. I think here's the thing. Dean Blandino does a fabulous job in replay. He does a great job of being consistent in terms of what that time element is. So there's no problem with the way it's being officiated. He does a great job of officiating. The problem is that the fans don't understand what he's looking at because of the mysterious time element factor that's in the equation. You know, let's define the time element factor. Let's say it's X. Let's put it in the equation. Everybody can understand it, and it would be better. It'd be a better game for the fans.
John, about the ejection rule that's going to be considered, how do you feel about that?
I'm for it. I'm for anything that you know, makes the game cleaner on the field. To me, there's no place in football for some of the stuff that went on this year.
John, is there a need that you guys need to fill before the draft? Are you comfortable where you're at in terms of you can fill the other things in the draft?
Right. Well, yeah, we're comfortable, Jeff, that we can fill every need we still have in the draft. But if we have an opportunity to fill something, you know, before the draft, to me, we definitely want to do that. And I know that Ozzy's thinking aggressively that way. Just texting with Terrell back and forth and talking to Mark Smith. He seems to be on schedule. I've not seen him, so I've not done my own eyeball test yet. Terrell's going to work hard. I mean, he's going to be ready.
What's it like to be pitching so high?
It's a bummer. But we're excited about the opportunity to get a great player, no doubt.
I was going to ask the same thing based on coming off a season that was unlike many you've had. How does it make this part of the process in the offseason different?
Well, yeah, Susie. I mean, it's completely different in terms of the players that we're looking at. You know, we've looked at these guys from afar, lovingly from afar, knowing that we were going to have to play against them most years, and now we're gonna have one of those players on our team. So I'm really excited about that. I just don't ever want to be in this position again. And that's it's our job to make sure it doesn't happen.
John, hi. Now I have this.
Oh man, now I'm nervous.
What do you think football is going to look like in 25 years?
I think it'll still be the great game that it is today. You know, the equipment will look different, probably be more streamlined and light, space age, futuristic looking equipment. But the fundamentals, the values, what the game is all about will remain the same. It is America's game. It's a game that reflects our values, you know, and what we're about. It's a courageous game. It's a noble game. It's an honorable game, and I'm proud to be a part of it. It's going to still be that 25 years from now.
Do you fear at all for the future of football when you see all the concussion stuff happening now?
The concussion stuff, if you look at historically, you know, the injury issues have been addressed throughout the years. I mean, technology, it's come a long way. This thing is, I learned yesterday, this is, what, 5,000 times more powerful than the computer that sent Neil Armstrong to the moon, right? We're going to figure out how to protect our players in an ever better way all the time. And the fact that it's important to the league, half our time was spent here talking about this issue. It's important to coaches, trainers, players, everybody, okay? And it's something that will solve the problem. But when you drill down on football, when you go to high schools in inner city Baltimore, okay? When you go to high schools in rural Indiana, and you see how important it is to the kids who are playing, what a difference it makes for single moms who are trying to raise their kids up in a tough environment. That's what football is. Basketball, there's 12 guys. You got to be able to handle the ball to be on the basketball team. Lacrosse, to buy all that equipment to get private lessons, that's a suburban sport right now. I'd love to see lacrosse get into the cities. Football's a sport that every kid, every young man in the high school can play. He can be a part of a team. He can learn the values. He can be influenced by a great coach, a high school coach that cares about him, that's going to teach him the values and instill discipline and hard work and the importance of teamwork and getting along with others, and a little bit of physical courage. You know, a little bit of, has there ever been a high school football player, I've never heard one, that looks back and says, man, I'm really disappointed that I played high school football. That was a big mistake. No, they all look back and they say, I was a football player. I played football, and it made me, to a big degree, the man that I am today. And you can get those values in other ways, but football is doing the job all across America. When moms take a look at that and they see what it's doing for their sons, then they want their sons to play football.
What are you running for? The president of football.
I mean, I see a lot of people out there who are pretty passionate about attacking football, all right? I think it's about time some people were passionate about defending football. And all of us that know what football is all about, we should stand up and do that. It's a great sport, and I'm willing to do it. I'm not afraid to do that, Peter. You know, and I think you understand the value of football. Most everybody around this table does. You know, a lot of times the media, I mean, it's important to be skeptical. It's important to take a hard look at things. That's the job. That's why you get into journalism. But be fair, you know, and most do. Look at both sides of it. Look at what a great game this is and how valuable it is. Look at the difference it's made in American boys' lives as they grow up. Ask them how they feel about it, okay? And I think you're going to find that 97% of these guys who play high school football, that's 97% of the players who play football, I think, are high school football only. You know, start with those guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for asking.
I thought you might say something.
I don't know. Who's out there still?
Greg Hardy.
Greg Hardy? He won't be a Raven, I can tell you that. Who's that?
Smith, he's not going to be ready.
That'd be a tough one, too. Is Dwight Freeney out there?
Yes.
He's still out there?
Prairie's still in town.
I see him a lot. He comes over all the time. He's still a Raven.
Third down.
Right.
Is there anything with Trent Richardson, you guys?
Is there anything to it?
Yeah, you're still looking at him?
Oh yeah. We're still Trent's. We have an unofficial agreement with Trent. Hopefully, no one will come in and swoop him away from us. But it's in Trent's court. Ozzie and Trent have talked a lot, and I text with Trent all the time, and he's keeping me posted on his training. So I'm planning on Trent being a Raven right now, and I'm kind of excited about it. I talking to him on the phone. I really liked him, and I'm excited. Hey, he's a high caliber, high draft pick guy that it seems like he's really motivated and wants to do well. So Trent, keep working, man. Keep working hard. See you in a couple weeks. That's the goal.
John, thanks a lot.
He's not on somebody else's roster. Thanks, Peter.
No, I know. I like the recruiting.
John, the Bucs just signed Darryl Smith. Just want to ask you, what about
Who's
him?
Darryl Smith?
Yeah, Darryl Smith. Just want to ask you, what about him allowed him to be as productive as he was the last 3 years for you, and what kind of leader they'll have down there?
Yeah, Darryl Smith. Gosh, you guys got a great one. He's a great. He's gonna come to work every day. He's gonna show your young players the way, how to work, how to play. He knows the game inside and out. He's gonna be physical. He's gonna be in the right gap. He's gonna know coverage. He's gonna know the game plan. He's gonna work with your young guys on and off the field. Just a fabulous, tremendous human being who's still got a couple years left. I understand why he's not with us anymore. We have certain priorities as far as what we need to do with our team, and Darryl understood that. But I think you got a great one there. We're good. We've already kind of talked about that a number of times. Thanks.
Still something you're monitoring?
Ozzie's still monitoring. Yeah. I haven't talked to Courtney at all. I'm not sure where he's at, but he's still on the radar.
Coach, you spent a lot of time here talking about officiating and ways to make the game better. I've often wondered why there isn't some sort of developmental league or something where offensive linemen can get reps, where coaches who haven't called plays before can become coordinators, where officials who aren't doing anything in the spring could go do 8 or 10 weeks of this developmental league, and each team sets 5 players, 8 players, whatever. Does that need to be more of a priority? Is that something you feel passionate about at all?
I mean, you just laid it out. I mean, that's the structure of it right there. John Madden, I kind of side with John Madden on that one. He's got me convinced that it would be great for football and great for young players, and as you said, coaches, officials, great for the game of football. And I kind of think the league wants to do it. It's just a matter of working out the details, so we'll see where it goes.
But it always seems to me it's sort of on the back. Like I come here every year, I ask people about it. Oh, it's a great idea, but it's not on our agenda. But we're not, you know what I mean? We're not really formally talking about it.
Right.
The owners aren't talking about it. I'm just trying to create some momentum to push that forward.
Right. I don't know the inner workings of all that, but I think it'd be great to do it, and they'd have my support. So
you can experiment with rules. You can experiment with technology. I mean,
absolutely.
it seems like a no-brainer. But again, I don't pay for it. But.
You're doing a great job of getting it going. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I agree with that, and I don't know why. I think the league wants to do it. There must be something blocking it. There must be some factors that are keeping them from going that direction. Because I never heard anybody say they don't want to do it. So I think you got to ask the league higher ups, really, what's holding it up.
I'm on it. Thanks, Brad.
All set. All right. Thanks.